Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod.
All right, welcome everybody to the Flagstick Podcast. I am Lerp Aloof, and this is Scott McLeod. and this is the Flagstick Podcast presented to you this week by Golf PEI. Golf Prince Edward Island is a premier Canadian golf destination, boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in this country. Over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine, exquisite culinary experiences, and top-tier accommodations. It is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book, so why not go ahead and book your golf vacation at golfpei.ca. We certainly do hope that you are following us across all of our social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us, and click the notification bell. Make sure that you never miss a single episode of this great podcast, even with its stupid humor on as we record April 1st. As you're listening, probably not April 1st, so one joke doesn't really translate well to the other. So the Lerp Aloof comment, for anybody that doesn't know, is April Fool's spelled backwards. And we'll just leave it at that.
By the time you listen to this, you probably know how many April Fool's pranks you fell victim to.
Yeah, I literally just fell for one as we were talking, and how stupid. I should have known better, but it was like it. Here's the thing with April Fool's jokes.
Even as I was saying.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. April Fool's jokes. I have had my dad,
yes.
May he rest in peace,
yes.
played the most ultimate April Fool's joke on me one year. And I will never forget it the rest of my life, because he kept the item that he did it with in an envelope. And I have that envelope somewhere in a filing cabinet, so I will forever be reminded of what he did. When I'm not going to describe what he did, but
I forgot about
some
that.
of the ones I just read one on Facebook this morning, and I got sucked into it. I fell for it. I even missed the clear cut explanation at the end, and made it like but it was so. It was a joke, but it was like, I don't like it when April Fool's jokes are like that. And I'm not going to describe it or anything, because I love the guy, but bad April Fool's joke, man. Nope. Nope. Can't do them like that. That's a dirty one. Don't like it. Yeah. That said,
you're describing the best one that was done to you.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever done one to someone else?
Nope. I've never pulled an April Fool's joke on anybody.
All right. Funniest one for me, and I think you remember this one. We did when my daughter was about 8 years old, we did a bowl of cereal that we froze.
See, now that's an April Fool's joke. That is awesome.
I like that. I don't fall for the written ones that, or, people, do that sort of thing. So yeah, we took a bowl of cereal, because she would eat cereal every morning. We froze it with a spoon in it, and then it was sitting at her, spot at the table. And then she went to obviously grab it, and it didn't.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but okay. My dad pulled like the ultimate one on me, and because this was such a good one, I'm going to describe it. We were living in Kingston at the time. I was still, I think I was working in Gananoque, but I woke up one morning, went out to my car to go to work, and
now let's just say this before we get into it.
Yeah,
you had worked hard to buy your new car at the time, and obviously it was a point of pride for you.
Yes, so cleanliness was a point of pride for me.
Anything to your car, it was a problem.
Yes, exactly. So I woke up one morning to go out to my car to go to work, and somebody, this is not the joke part, this is setting up the joke part. Somebody, don't know who, don't know why, had smeared defecation all over the inside of my car, on the steering wheel, on the seats, on the floor, and not fake. This was the real part. Somebody actually did this. It cost me a lot of money, and to get it cleaned out of my car, back, cleaned everything back to normal
Should I apologize?
homeostasis.
Should I apologize now?
Yeah, you should, if I ever find out. Um, so that was a sad day. April Fool's rolls around months later, like we're talking months later.
Yeah.
Dad decides, I know the perfect April Fool's joke to play on Jeffrey. And he proceeds to use multiple bits of stuff, caulking of the brown color, and creates fake poop, multiple little strips of fake poop, and places them all over the inside of my car on April Fool's, on the steering, like same kind of deal, on the steering wheel and everything. I wake up in the morning, I go to get in my car and go to work, and I open the door, and lo and behold, I'm looking at the same thing all over again. And I'm literally standing in the driveway screaming and yelling, like, how in the hell did this happen? Car was locked, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm just going crazy. I come in the house. My dad's in there drinking his coffee in the kitchen, getting ready for work. He's like, what in heck is going on? He says, I did it again. And I'm going on and on and on. And he's like, does it smell? And I'm like, well, of course it smells. He says, really? It smells? And he starts going on and on and on. And I go back out again, and he comes out with me, and he reaches into the car and he grabs it off the steering. I'm Dad, don't touch it. And he's grabbing it. He goes, and he's flipping it around like this. He goes, I don't smell anything. And then it just dawned on me right at that point what he'd done. So the ultimate April Fool's prank played on me by my dad.
Rest
Thank
in peace,
you, Dad.
Tom.
And I still have the fake poop that he made in one of those manila envelopes in my filing cabinet. Someday maybe I'll play that joke on somebody else, but probably not. Anyway, all right.
Nice April Fool's aside.
Enough about April Fool's, but here's the thing. Here's a perfect little segue here. April Fool's is April 1st, and very shortly thereafter comes the Masters.
You got it.
And now over the years, now we have, there it is. I wondered if you were going to have something, or if you're going to have the green jacket, or wait. That is super awesome. Where did that come from? Did you get that there?
I bought that at Augusta National for my daughter in 2012. So yeah,
that's awesome. I love that. I love it. Yeah. Yes, Masters. The Masters is not this weekend, but next weekend. No. But now it begins sort of like, it's kind of like Daytona Speed Week. The Daytona 500 happens, but preceding the Daytona 500 is all the other things that go on the week before, all the week before. Yeah.
And we actually got bits of Raisin Bran. Yeah, and we actually have events now with the Augusta National Women's Amateur.
But that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why it's it's sort of gone from back in the day, it was like 2 hours of a broadcast on the weekends. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now it's become something else. And from a commercial standpoint as well, because obviously we see, manufacturers and companies all lean into it with all their drops related to Augusta, spring major, Georgia green products, things with the azaleas and so forth. So yeah, it's definitely become a thing more than it did back in the day.
Well, yeah, we always used to get so excited about seeing what Augusta looked like on Masters weekend, because you didn't see the Thursday, Friday rounds. You didn't see much coverage on Saturday and Sunday. It was always back nine coverage, a couple hours here. You didn't see the live from the Masters on the Golf Channel where they're showing all the practice rounds and now you're seeing the Augusta Women's Amateur and the drive, chip, and putt. So you're seeing Augusta's condition and all that stuff so early on before the tournament. So it's like it's a week-long spectacle or a 2-week-long spectacle before the Masters actually arrives, which is when friends we sit and we congregate around our large screen TVs and our TVs in the bars and the restaurants to witness the thing that is Augusta National.
You got it.
So given that, this is we'll call it our official, unofficial,
because we're still going to be talking about the Masters for the next at least 2 weeks. So
yes, exactly. Yeah. So we're going to do sort of our Masters preview show today. We're going to talk about get the hype started.
Yeah.
If it isn't already started, we're going to get it started. Kind of what we expect, who might contend, how the Canadians might do, and look back at a couple of the significant Masters tournaments, maybe some that stick in our brains a little more than others. And probably the one major tournament every year that I have the most difficult time trying to predict anything of all of them. But that's what we're going to do today. So let's get to it. The front nine presented by Metcalfe Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. Now is a great time, the perfect time to start thinking about the golf season because it is upon us. Game packages are available, 10s, 20s, and 30-round passes. Always available in Pro Shop or online. Memberships are sold out, but wait lists are important. So get on the wait list for their leagues and some special events that are happening there. It is Metcalfe's 50th anniversary celebration this year. So I'm sure lots of things are going to be going on at Metcalfe Golf Club that you might want to check out. So visit metcalfegolf.com and stay in touch with golf savings. All right.
You got it.
Here we go. What can we talk? What is happening? First off, what? We'll talk. What did you want to say? Okay,
you have at her.
So, course openings calendar for the region. This is a big deal.
Yeah,
this is probably our. I'm gonna say
my time.
Sure, Scott's gonna go crazy for the next 6 weeks, and. This is the course calendar has become one of the hottest things that we do every year, and for good reason. But the traffic that we see spike on the website during this time, the next 6 weeks, essentially, once May 15th kind of hits, I think everybody's open, so the calendar kind of is like immaterial. But right now, everybody is looking for who's opening. When are they opening? Can I plan around? Like it is crazy the amount of traffic that that flagstick.com will see in the next 6 weeks. So course openings calendar is open. It's live. There are a few ranges. One golf course that is.
Want to guess which one it is?
I can. Here's the thing. Gordy is
it's open today.
Yeah, if Gord could have been realistically open like a month ago, we would have been. And he probably, if it wasn't for the extra dumping of snow and freezing rain and stuff that we got in the last two and a half weeks, he probably would have been open long before now. But good for him. I'm excited for him to be open. But he is the only golf course open right now.
Yeah. We got a bunch of ranges and here's the thing. Obviously golf courses, I've talked to a lot of golf courses right now. Let's just say there's a lot of dates that could go on the calendar, but they would change. There's a number of courses that have informed me and said, hey, we're looking at this date, but they're not willing to go public with it yet. And we'll see that kind of in the next week or so.
Yeah.
And, here's the thing. Don't go and call the golf course. When you open, just because all of a sudden one day gets warm. First off, go out and look at your own lawn and realize it's like, if you're not cutting that thing yet, they're not cutting theirs. Southwestern Ontario has got way different weather. I mean, they're headed to record highs later this week. So by the time people are listening to this podcast, they're going to have some mid-20 days down in, say, London area. And
I wouldn't be disappointed with that right now.
Yeah, and even temperatures that are heading towards 20, let's just say that in, like Toronto, but it's kind of funny because people all of a sudden will be like, oh, it's going to be 20 on Friday. What courses are open? Well, they don't just flip the switch, people. It takes a lot more work than that to get a course prepared and ready. Yeah. So, don't be inundating. Don't think the superintendents have some special conduit to, weather forecasts that you don't know about or can't access. Obviously, they're working hard to get open. Courses want to be open, but they're obviously not going to do it until they're ready. But that said, ranges. There's a lot more ranges that are open. There's at least 4 or 5 that are open in the Eastern Ontario right now. We'll add those to the dates there as well. If you've got information, if you're authorized, now understand this is the difference. we will get, and we always get, lots of kind-hearted people saying, "Hey, so and so is open," and a lot of times it's based on a rumor.
Hmm.
It's like, "Oh, I heard so and so is
Or
open."
an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, it could be or whatever. So if you're not the authorized person from a facility,
Don't call us.
I appreciate it, but don't expect it to show up on the calendar because you heard a rumor.
Hmm.
We verify everything that we see on the calendar.
Now we know
So
who the authorized people are for the most part, so
exactly. So if you are, do reach out. My contact is on
yeah.
flagstick.com, so you can get to it there. We'd be happy to add it to this calendar that this year is sponsored by Castleview Golf and Country Club, which is great that there obviously people see and recognize the value of the calendar and how much traffic that is there.
Hmm.
And I assure you, just bookmark it, keep coming back. Uh, my phone is right here. And
Hmm.
I add the dates once they're confirmed straight from my phone as fast as I can get to the calendar. As fast as I can. And that could
Yeah.
be at midnight. And we're scouring lots of places. So yeah, if you are authorized, reach out. We'll add it to it. If you're the golfer on the other end, stay patient. But yeah, check back as often as you can. If you hear something, yeah, let us know. But we're going to verify it beyond there.
Yeah.
So all right.
Perfect. Yes, and just mention again, Castleview Golf and Country Club is the sponsor of the course opening calendar this year. Thank you to them for stepping up in that regard. Appreciate it. Um, the another big item that we need
Mm-hmm.
to mention is the 39th Women's PGA of Canada Championship is going to be hosted this year in our region at Smith Falls Golf and Country Club in July.
Yep.
And details are at flagstick.com as to its significance. But anytime there's a big event like that hosted in our region is pretty exciting.
Yeah. I was
39th, which is that's a deep history.
Yeah, I
Um,
was kind of excited. Got that news yesterday, and people have to know and realize that going to Smith Falls, one of the significance is of that is the fact that Brooke Henderson won that championship in
mhm.
2014 and 2015. So it's kind of nice to go there, and obviously Gord Percy, who's the general manager there, was the former president of the PGA of Canada, so that's plays into that as well. But
Maybe she'll come
always.
play.
You never know, but it's
Lori Kane used to play in it.
oh yeah, she's won it before. So I mean, there's lots of players. It's a mix of amateurs and pros. People should realize, and this is going to be played the week. It should be the week after. It should be the week after the Ontario Women's Amateur at Equinel. So busy time there for women's golf for sure in our
Perfect.
region. Yeah.
Awesome. Obviously, this week we have the Augusta Women's Amateur, and then the Drive, Chip, and Putt,
Yep.
and then the Masters. Of note, best of luck to Vanessa Borovilo, Aphrodite Deng, and Laura Kim at Augusta. They're all contenders
Yep. Playing right now.
that'll be participating. Borovilo and Kim have won NCAA tournaments this already, and Deng won the U.S. Junior Girls Championship last year. So
Yep.
some pretty good golfers.
Yeah, and and they're underway now in Augusta, and by the time you listen to this podcast, hopefully they've made the cut and got their been part of the top 30 in ties that will play at Augusta National, and then following them, as you said, will the Drive, Chip, and Putt. So we've got Evelyn He, Jixin Liu, and Yen Lee, and Nathan Kira, all of Canada. So that we got 4 Canadians playing that Drive, Chip, and Putt. Of note, Vanessa Borovilos, who's playing in that Augusta National Women's Amateur, she is a former winner of the Drive, Chip, and Putt.
There you go.
Full circle.
Springboard. It's a springboard.
Full circle. Yeah. It's
You start
yep.
with the Drive, Chip, and Putt, and then you go, NCAA, and then you go LPGA, and then you win a major. Right?
Maybe.
That's how
Maybe.
it goes.
Yeah.
Okay. All that said, it's an exciting time. The Masters is right around the corner, and that is the big thing that we want to focus our attention on with the podcast this week. So let's see what our time. We got time. Let's start our chatter about the Masters. Um, And
Yeah,
we'll
I mean,
continue on. We'll continue it through into the back nine because obviously
yeah.
there's a lot more to discuss than we can
Yeah,
squeeze in the next
so
4 minutes.
we'll talk a little bit about this year in particular, more on the back nine, but we kind of wanted to jump back in the time machine here a little bit and talk about, a couple of great examples of the drama that's possible at Augusta National. And, for some, these are going to be super familiar. We know we have some audience members that, they were playing golf for quite some time, but we also have a lot of new golfers that listen to the podcast as well or watch the podcast too, that maybe aren't as familiar. And the cool part about the Masters is that they have a deep archives online. In fact, you can go back and watch the final round, every single shot from 1968 to 2025. It is available for you to go back and look. Cool archives to go back. These two, 1986 and 1996, are two that you might want to go back and look at
Mhm.
if you're not familiar with them, just to kind of say, okay, what can happen at Augusta National? And I know there's lots of other great examples. I want to start with 86. 86 for me is probably one of the more significant ones. Yeah, we have talked about it previously before, but
Yeah.
this was huge. And I think right in the era where Augustus kind of flipped to being a golf event to a major sporting event that was begin being watched by a lot of non-golfers. And it sort of constituted, a big jump, the first big jump
Yeah.
before a lot of other players kind of came along. But, a lot of just people that were familiar with sports in general and golf in general knew Jack Nicklaus, but not all of them had followed his career super closely. And by the time 1986 came around, Jack Nicklaus was 46.
Hmm.
He hadn't won a major in 6 years. I mean, at that time you're 46, people were thinking, oh, you're washed up. Hadn't won in a couple of years. um you know Notably, there was a newspaper clipping that said he was basically washed up, and famously he took this clipping and he pinned it to his fridge and basically said, okay, that's my motivation. And if you watch this event, you would know that it didn't look like he was going to be doing anything significant. In fact, it was Greg Norman, whose name will come up again in a little bit, who,
Oh.
started the lead at what was a very tough Augusta National that year. He was only at 2 under par, and, Nicklaus was 4 back of Greg Norman heading into that final round. So a lot of people are like, yeah, whatever, Nicklaus will be there at ceremonial, he'll get a finish. And Greg Norman, who, would go on to win the Open Championship that year, and had, he was sort of setting the golf world on fire at that time.
Hmm.
He was this brash new young golfer from Australia, and people like this swashbuckling style. They thought, okay, here's the next generation, but Nicklaus wasn't quite ready to kind of hand over the torch at that point. So, do you remember this? Did you watch golf at this time, or you
Yeah,
just remember it more
I was
afterwards?
watching. This is around about the time that I really started to pay attention to
Okay.
golf a little bit more. So I started playing golf in
Yeah.
'86. So this was I watched this. I saw
Yeah.
what you could see of it
Yes.
on TV. That's the thing. Like, you got to remember that nowadays you can watch all of this stuff happening and unfolding. In '86, you couldn't watch it the same way that you watch it
No.
now. You didn't have all the coverage and the cameras and the drones
No.
and all this. It's like you didn't really pick the tournament up until the back nine, and it
Yep.
would come on. The Masters would come on TV, and everything on the front nine will have already happened.
Correct. Yes.
And you're just the broadcast starts and the whole here we go. And it'd be like, well, in case anybody's wondering what's been going on for the last 9 holes,
Yeah.
da da da, here we go.
Yeah.
Jack
Yeah.
Nicklaus, who started the day 4 back of Greg
Yeah.
Norman, has somehow found himself in contention.
Hmm.
And here we are picking up
Yeah.
Jack's first shot of the broadcast on such and such a hole, and it
Yeah.
was probably 11 or 12 at the time
Mhm.
that they would have, because it was really the back nine. So it's like
Yeah.
you didn't really get number 10 that much. It was
No, so the drama didn't build like it is now, where
no.
we're sitting, having expectations based on the front nine of what's going to happen on the back. This was like, okay, the table's already set,
Hmm.
chapters are already written. Now it's just the finale, which probably, changes our narrative of how we think about the broadcast and everything as well. But, is this time here, as you said, it comes on TV and they make reference to the fact that probably Nicklaus had just birdied nine, and then
Hmm.
next thing you know, he's birdieing 10 and 11, and now all of a sudden he went from being behind to, hey, he's at 5 under par. He's sort of kind of in the mix, and then all of a sudden, Seve was charging at that point. He was kind of going up there and getting himself into the lead, but then Nicklaus makes a bogey on 12,
Yeah.
and you're thinking, okay, that's
You thought
it.
that was it. It's like,
Yeah, you're done. I mean, if you have that, I mean, people in more current times will remember, Spieth or other golfers all of a
hmm.
sudden getting to 12, and it basically derails their tournament.
Yep.
Molinari did that when obviously the last Tiger run. And you think it's over with. But as we know, and as we've, opined over the years, the course was a little bit more gettable for the last bunch of holes
Yeah, I was gonna say
at
that's
that time, right? So 15 wasn't as long, or yeah, 13, sorry, wasn't as long. Things were a little bit, the greens were a little slower, a little bit softer. So yeah, you can make a whole bunch of stuff happen, and in fact, it did. And basically, to summarize it all without, kind of going into it, blow by blow, Nicklaus with a bogey on 12 ends up shooting 30 on the back nine. And at the same time, Seve was collapsing. Norman had a chance on 18, but he made a bogey on 18, and we didn't know if it was enough by Nicklaus at the time, and
mhm.
he had his son caddying for him. Again, there was just everything was there from a
Tom Kite
storybook
had a birdie
standpoint.
to send it
Tom
to a playoff as well.
Right, and he missed that by just inches. So there were some of the most notable players in the game that were kind of in the mix there at that time. A lot of people were cheering for Seve, who had he'd already won a Masters, but
Hmm.
he dumped it in the water on 15. So there was a lot of drama. If you go back and watch it, it still holds up as far as how it sort of played out. And I don't know if the narrative changes if Jack is like, 35, but the fact that he was 46 had become a bit of a sympathetic figure. He was going for his sixth Masters win. There was a lot to play into it there at that time, and it did a lot for golf because again, becomes the oldest Masters winner. Gets his 18th and his final professional major. And also during that third round, Nick Price was in the mix too. He had shot 63, which was unheard of at the time. But yeah, it was a huge moment. I knew for me, I remember living on the West Coast, and I was living more towards the north, so I was able to go and play a bunch of golf after the broadcast. So yeah, for me as a 16-year-old, that fired me up for sure.
Yeah, I think too that I think his age being younger would not have changed. I don't think the excitement surrounding what was happening, just because
Right.
I think once it got to that point, I think until it was almost over, we stopped looking at it as this 46-year-old doing this, and it was Jack Nicklaus is charging kind of thing. And
Hmm.
then afterwards, we could look back on it and as after it happened, going, okay, the oldest person to ever win a major, you're 46 years old, blah blah blah. Thought to be out of it, came back and did it. But while it was happening, I don't think the age side of it was really because it was Nicklaus.
Hmm.
Had it been somebody else at 46 years old, maybe
Sure.
they would have
Yeah.
focused more on that.
Hmm.
But even if he'd been 35, I think the fact that he started four shots back and did all this stuff would have been less surprising. But while it was happening, it wouldn't have been the topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's one of the things, I think it's one of the things about Augusta National now that I like less than back then is that I don't feel like, the back nine is still, of course, set up to give the opportunity to come back hard. Like
Sure.
there's a lot of birdies to be had, a lot of scoring to be had on the back nine at Augusta. But I think all this lengthening the golf course and things that they've done to change the golf course over the years to try to make it harder, I think is taken away from a little bit of what that back nine is particularly is supposed to be about. And the guys can still go low in the back nine, but I think it's less likely that somebody is going to do what Jack did in the modern era. I think the golf
Yeah.
course is far too protected for that to happen, and I think the players are much better. And we did see a collapse. I'm not going to say we did see a collapse that Jordan Spieth. We saw Molinari
Sure.
collapse when
Sure.
Tiger won. So
Well,
we
yeah.
see the collapse, but it was more the collapse
Correct.
than it
Exactly.
was because
The
then we
charge.
had
Yeah.
obviously we had the Rory collapse, and
Yeah.
so we've had other collapses on the back nine
Yeah.
as opposed to someone shooting 30 on the back nine and
Correct.
winning.
Exactly.
Like that we don't see.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's not about the charges so much.
Yeah.
It's about the defense and not making mistakes, and the drama or the change in the leaderboard is done by as we saw last year, players making mistakes, not gaining to get past players or whatever. And I think a lot of that, if we go back and look at it, and we can summarize this one before we hit the break, but the biggest collapse that we saw and kind of started the trend, I think, was
Norman.
Was Norman in '96. I mean, the
Yeah.
guy that was part of that narrative in '86. But here's a guy who started that tournament that year at 63. He had a 6-stroke lead over Nick Faldo to start the final round. Again, he had a storied career at that point, and you thought, okay, it's a given that this guy is going to wear a green jacket at some point in his career, but
Not so much.
not so much. And, unfortunately, it became the plodding nature of Nick Faldo, who, to be fair, did shoot 67 in the final round. It wasn't like he had 18 pars like he did in his one of the 3 times that he won the Open Championship. But you're right, it starts to become the opposite side of it, which I don't think is quite as fun. Watching the Scott Hokes of the world miss putts in a playoff, or to go to a playoff, or watching players collapse. I mean, there's a certain satisfaction for some people in watching that, but we also like the other side of it as well, where players are challenging a very difficult golf course and mastering it to earn their position, to earn their spot, rather than just having the other people fall back.
Yeah, no, and I think the thing with Faldo that is Faldo shooting 5 under and playing as well as he did with Norman. There's a difference there. When Nicklaus did his charge, Nicklaus was not playing with the leaders.
No.
He was 4 shots back. He was behind. He was up ahead, doing his thing, and he wasn't with the leaders. The leaders could see what he was doing, which obviously puts pressure on him, but not with them. Norman played with Faldo that year. He collapsed. There was an 11-shot swing.
Yeah.
Faldo could have potentially beat him, even if Norman had played well enough to not collapse that much and just played average golf.
Not shooting 78.
Yeah. Now, had Norman shot even par, he would have won. But maybe not. You don't know. Faldo could have turned it on and shot 8 under.
But it does show you again, it just shows you what can happen at Augusta National as far as the swings. And I think
what could happen at Augusta National. I said, I think it's less likely to see somebody charge from that far back to win as it is someone collapsing like we have seen in numerous Masters since then.
Yeah, I don't think it would be hard to imagine seeing an 11 birdie round like Anthony Kim pulled off the one year, happening, which is, it's good and bad. I mean, we talked about it last week. We talked about toughest golf courses and things like that.
Augusta National is not in the top of that. past.
Unfortunately not. The greens really dictate a lot of what happens here. I mean, there's a lot of room to off the tee at this
Hmm.
golf course, but it's also the weight of the moment that plays into it more than anything. And for somebody like Greg Norman, who was so talented, the weight of the moment got really big for him.
Hmm.
And normally he would walk around there, and 78 would never be a thought of what would happen. But the weight of the moment, the pressure by Faldo, the pressure to win, a title that you think you're
Yep.
destined to win, those all played into it. And as a result of it, yeah, you go back and watch that. Unfortunately, for Faldo, it's remembered less for his victory and more for Norman's collapse.
Exactly. All right. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the Masters. Going to look ahead, maybe reminisce a little bit about maybe some other historical moments. But you're going to have to stick around. We'll be right back here. You're listening to and watching the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod. Stay with us.
When you golf on Prince Edward Island, there are over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine. Not to mention countless miles of pristine beaches and a rich world-class culinary experience. So get here fast, then take it slow and play around on Island Time. Golf Prince Edward Island.
All right. Well, welcome back to the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod. Here to talk about a little bit more about the Masters here on the Back Nine, presented by Falcon Ridge Golf Club. Indoor golf is in full swing at Falcon Ridge. Simulators are open 7 days a week, starting at 8 a.m. and shutting down around 11. They have 4 TrackMan sims featuring over 400 golf courses, including many PGA Tour courses. They also have beverages and light food available. So book your tee times indoors on one of the 4 TrackMan sims at falconridgegolf.ca. Soon it'll be outdoors.
Yes, and you can make use of their TrackMan range outdoors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Very exciting. All right.
Did you get your TrackMan?
Yeah, we played Cabot Cliffs.
How'd that go?
It went well. I mean, there were the odd mulligan here and there to kind of bridge the gap. I have I am not my short game is terrible in indoor golf.
Most people's are. Yeah.
It's a very different feel game indoors. Yes. Trying to judge the screen stuff. So I don't get up and down very often. I play a couple times. I've played it. We use the Auto Pro putting thing where it kind of it kind of sucks a little bit.
I don't like the auto. I don't mind the distance one, the fixed. The Pro one is
what's the fixed? What's that?
So the fixed one sets it up so that it's under 10 feet, it's 1 putt. Up to 65, it's a 2 putt, and over 65, it's a 3 putt, which is different than the Pro one.
Oh, I should have done that.
Yes, which is an algorithm. So sometimes you're 3 feet away and it gives you a 3 putt.
That's it. Brandon had like 4 putts inside 7 feet and gave him 2 putts on all of them. Yeah. And it's like,
do not this I've seen guys. This tells you
Mitch,
golf.
You should have told me, Mitch.
This is what I see golfers doing sometimes. I've seen golfers betting and playing with the setting, which is basically just, it's not then a bet based on skill. It's just based on a roll of the dice as far as an algorithm. So yes, if you're going to not putt, you're going to do auto putting, use the fixed putting.
So I will say this, that after having played it, I hit the ball pretty good. But I'm not. It's also very difficult when you hit like 3-wood off the deck kind of thing. Is like that's not easy to do, especially with my depth perception not as good as it is in the dark and the little light white circle there.
Sure.
Sometimes I don't clean it very well. They get the clean clip. But I will say this, Brandon, I think understands now why when he asked me if I prefer Cabot Cliffs or Cabot Links, and I say I prefer Cabot Links, now he understands why.
Okay.
Cool. He gets it. We talked about he saw what I saw live. He saw it on, and TrackMan's pretty good. He saw what I saw and now understands, okay, Yeah, the overhead shots, the pictures, the shots from different
Spectacular.
things, spectacular. But when you're actually standing on the tee on those particular holes,
Yeah.
the visual around you and
Mm-hmm.
the feel and like you're right there, that is exciting. But
Mm-hmm.
actually looking at the hole, particularly on 16, 17, it's like, okay, but where's the hole? Like it's a
Yes.
beautiful setting, but you can't
Yeah.
actually see where you're hitting the ball.
Yeah.
So it has that. Whereas on links, everything's kind of like
Yeah.
big moundy grass.
Yeah, it's more
You know,
it's more there's a greater playability.
yeah,
Cliffs is more spectacular, and I always say this, and this is not to, deride one or the other.
no,
It's
not
just
at all.
it's just a preference. But yeah, I always say, if I was given a choice and you gave me 10 rounds to split between the two, I would probably play 7 or 8 at links and a couple at cliffs.
Yes,
Cliffs spectacular. I like the fact that you got 6 par fives. But yeah, links is one that I could play every day and
yeah,
not leave disappointed. So
exactly. So now he understands it, which is good. He's like,
good
okay,
stuff.
the only way you
Glad,
can understand it is to play.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
but now he
Yeah,
does. Good. All
there you
right.
go.
So
Glad you
we
got
are
in.
going to. So it was fun. It was great. I got my ass whooped, and which was expected, but
Sure.
it happened.
Yeah.
All right. 2026 Masters. We
Yeah.
talked a little bit about 86 and 96. We mentioned there were some other, historical things, some historical collapses, if you will.
Oh, there's tons.
There was, Greg Norman was on the wrong end of another Masters too, if
Yeah.
we remember correctly, when Larry Mize put the
87.
dagger in his heart too in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
obviously Norman was not destined to win a Masters championship. He was destined to become a goof. So let's talk about the 2026 Masters. It's obviously April 9th and 12th, or 9th to 12th. 9th and 12th would be fun.
Well, that would be. Yeah, just separate it by a
Defending
few days.
champion Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
Such a great thing to be able to say. But what does he have for an encore? He won his Masters. He completed the career Grand Slam.
Yeah.
What we know is no player has successfully defended the Masters title since Tiger Woods did in 2002.
Yeah, it's been a while.
He arrives with the monkey off his back.
Mm-hmm.
However, after winning the Masters, he kind of,
A little soft.
had a little
for a while
hiccup,
there.
a little speed bump for a while. And now he's kind of getting it back. Is he in I can win the Masters back-to-back form?
Mm-hmm.
He's been a little quieter, so maybe he's due for a little statement. Maybe
Let's
not.
hope so. Yeah, I mean, have you watched the video yet? The Prime video on Rory on his whole.
No.
No, obviously not. So I just watched it. Interesting, but again, there's a lot of things leading into this. This is why this is going to be a big storyline. This is why I put it at number one. Defended champion. He did what he did last year. It was a lot leading into that. Now the story becomes, can he do it again? And obviously a lot of people will be watching how he plays, knowing that he can have success here. As we've talked about before in the podcast, the formula to win is important for players to know or have the confidence that they know how to win at a particular event. So, will that aid him? Will that give him a little bit more confidence in knowing that he can have bobbles like he did, but still manage to come through and make a win? I mean, nobody expected him to, make a double on like 13 or whatever, or, end up having to go to a playoff. But what do you think his odds are? I mean, he's within the top 2 as far as players that people are betting on.
I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Rory's anywhere near winning this Masters.
Okay.
I think he'll make the cut. I think he'll be, in the top 10. I think he'll be in the conversation throughout the week, but I don't think that at the end of the day he's going to be there on Sunday afternoon and be in contention. And that's just, look at that. There's no stats or spec.
No, it's just it's a safer bet, really, more than anything.
Yeah, it's just it's a gut feeling based on what I've seen of him so far this year. That he's been good, but not great. And winning the Masters in back-to-back years. I mean, if you were to kind of put money down on, if I had to put my money down on it, I wouldn't put my money on someone to win back-to-back Masters.
Sure.
Like, it just,
Yeah.
that's just the,
Yeah.
maybe that's
Tough to do. I
playing the
mean,
odds.
yeah. I mean, we look at a guy who's, won, a couple now. So, as far as in Scottie Scheffler chasing it, but his lead up to the Masters has been a little bit different as well. I mean, he obviously he came out of didn't play the Houston Open. He and his wife had their second child, so you don't know what kind of prep that he's putting into it. But that said, here's a guy who obviously knows how to win it and knows how to make it happen. So, where do you see his game at?
Here's an interesting thing with Scottie Scheffler is, and I'm going to be honest with you, his like just having their second child, I had totally at the beginning of this year, I had totally forgot that the wife and him were expecting.
Gotcha.
So the start to the season that Scottie Scheffler has had, which has been by Scottie Scheffler's standards, pretty inconsistent. The slow starts to the rounds, the strong finishes, but it's kind of been hit and miss.
Backdoor top tens, and
we don't know
like that.
what kind of distraction through this pregnancy has been going on. Like, how much has he really been focused? How much is he, like, what's been going on there? And now that I heard this, when he withdrew from the Houston Open and they gave the reason, I'm like, oh shoot, I totally forgot that him and his wife were expecting. So has that been weighing on him? Has he been thinking about that as the season began? And now that child has been born, mom and baby are healthy, everything's great. Is that like a huge monkey off of his back? Is that a huge relief that this is the child is here? I'm excited. I'm happy to be a dad again. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's well. I not have to worry about this. And now he can go and play golf without that, not as a negative distraction, but now as a positive distraction. I'm wondering if this is Scottie Scheffler's next part
Coming
to his
out
season is going to be now, where it's going to be, you just woke up the proverbial bear, if you will.
Yeah, I can believe that for a guy who's very focused or very family focused, and so obviously it's important to him, as it would be for anyone that's having a child. So I think you're right. Maybe it's time now that maybe he can put in the extra work that he sort of expects to put in normally, but maybe hasn't been putting in anticipation of welcoming that second child. But I don't think you can really bet against him. I mean, if I was going to put some money down, this would be easy for me. I think in my mind, I would put Scheffler over Rory, and a lot of people will. This is not really a big surprise, but I would say, he has won it twice, obviously won it in 22 and 24. I like the way he plays. And again, as we talked about in the front nine, this has become more about attrition than charging. Yes. And if there's an attrition specialist, it's Scottie Scheffler, as Jack Nicklaus was. Jack Nicklaus used to always say, for winning tournaments, it's winning the war of attrition. It's being there when the other players fade away. That's how you gain. Brooks Koepka has obviously talked about that as well. Yeah. And that is what Scheffler really specializes in. So if he can go and do that, if he's had enough prep, and you certainly he will, he's got that confidence of winning it, those two times. I would not be surprised. I would be more surprised if Rory was, at the top of the leaderboard more than Scheffler.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I would say, I just see the Masters as being more. It's going to be somebody unlikely. I just feel if it's not the most obvious choices, it's going to be somebody completely off out of left field.
So without going, too far off the board here, given what Justin Rose has done in recent times and losing out in the playoff, do we think he's still in the mix? For an example, does he come back from being close to making it happen?
I'm going to say no.
Okay. All right.
I don't think that I don't think this is Justin Rose's I don't think this is his major. I don't think this is his.
Well, U.S. Open was
No,
obviously
but I mean, I don't think
certainly
this is
no, no,
of the
no.
majors for Justin Rose to
Yeah,
win. This
yeah,
isn't his major to win. I don't think this
yeah.
is to me. He's an Open Championship guy. He's a U.S. Open champ. Like I just
Mm.
think that this is not. Um, I
The
don't
only
think
thing
this is his.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about that is just the difference in his putting over the recent years, and
Hmm.
he's improved so much on that aspect of it, and it's so key within this. And I think as we look to the next sort of topic here, I think that's held one of these players back at Augusta National. And I think you have to be a brilliant putter to avoid
Yes.
disaster at Augusta National. And I think that has hurt one of these live golf power duo players that people are expecting to contend at Augusta National in Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think that Bryson's game is a power game, and I
Very much.
don't think that now. I know that he has been in contention at the Masters. I know he has played well. So for me to make a statement like the Masters is not the type of Augusta Masters is
No,
not the type of course
I'm
that
not, and
sets
I'm
up
not
well for
saying,
Bryson,
yeah,
and
and I'm
that's not what
definitely
I'm
not saying
saying.
that. Yeah, I'm
But
not saying that either. But
he's not a great putter. He's never
yeah,
been a great putter. He has a relatively average short game.
hmm
So, and we know that Augusta National it's about positioning. It's about shaping the ball. It's about bringing the ball in to the greens from the right direction with the right spin. And then it's about if you're going to miss greens,
yeah,
and it's about getting up and down and saving par and making and
yeah.
having a really good short game. And I don't think that's his game. And frankly, I don't really see that as John Rahm's strength and strong suit either. So I don't see either one of them particularly doing well
Yeah.
as far as winning
I mean,
standard.
obviously, Rom has won it previously, so that that's obviously
Yeah, but
helped
then
within
now
it.
that was then. This is now.
No,
That's sort
I
of
get
yeah.
that, and I think he's a better putter, and I think when we look at Bryson, tied for fifth last year, tied for sixth the year before, but the 2 years prior to that, he missed the cut those both years. So I like your evaluation and the fact in saying from a short game perspective, even if you watch his YouTube videos, I mean, he'll do some spectacular things, but he'll also do some not so spectacular things. And there's no margin for error here, especially with wedges. And if you're not able to hit your spots perfectly and get the ball controlled to where it needs to go, next thing you know, you're on that third hole at Augusta
Hmm.
National and you're hitting a wedge in, and that wedge is going flying over the back, and you turn that potential three into a five. And, you do that a couple of times, and that's the difference between, putting on a green jacket and finishing fifth or sixth. So, he may surprise us. They both may surprise us,
Yeah.
but certainly there's some red flags.
I would also say when it comes to Bryson, if Augusta plays if Augusta plays soft,
Yeah.
I change
Sure.
my
Yeah, yeah,
thought
yeah.
process when it comes to Bryson significantly, because if
Yeah.
Augusta National plays soft,
Yeah.
then I think that plays right into his wheelhouse because
Right.
he can just go nuts.
hmm
And not really worry about too much of the. But if Augusta National plays fast and firm, I
hmm
don't think that sets up well for his game
Yeah.
as well. John
I
Rahm a
think
little bit better, but
Yeah. I think
you
the
know,
other factor that plays in for both of them is that I don't think either of them are very patient golfers. They've obviously
no,
been prone to explosiveness, been prone to a
and
lot of
emotional, like too
emotion.
emotional. Yes.
Exactly. And, this is a golf course that, just like any other major can really, really frustrate you. So, and I'm not saying they're not capable. Obviously, they've won major championships, and, when you look at events like, winning at Oakmont for DeChambeau, you're going to have to like control your emotions to a certain point.
Hmm.
But I think that becomes harder in this case. Rahm has already got a green jacket, but in this case, DeChambeau wants to win at Augusta, just like obviously every player does, but
Of
there
course.
it puts that much more pressure on wanting it badly.
Hmm.
How can you contain yourself from an emotion standpoint and not be upset when things go poorly? If he can do that, that will be a helper for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only a piece of the formula. But I like your assessment as far as a softer course versus a firmer course,
Mm-hmm.
would benefit somebody like DeChambeau.
Now, for me, you look at
Mm,
the younger ones coming up. Ludwig Oberg,
yeah.
he had. There's something. It's
I
gonna
know.
happen. Like I just feel
It
like
seems that way. Yeah.
he is so consistent.
Yeah.
He hits the ball. He has such a steady, um, 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 seemingly unflappable swing.
Yeah.
He
Now,
has
now he
a
did
quiet.
struggle. Yeah, he did struggle a bit at Sawgrass, but
Yes,
that could be helpful, I think, in some ways.
he hits it high.
Yeah.
He hits it. He hits it very. He's very calm. His demeanor, and I think Augusta requires. I think any major championship requires
Hmm.
that. And I think, frankly,
Yeah.
anybody who wins, being calm and playing within yourself is extremely important. And he just has that sort of. His give a crap meter seems to be at really low. I know, but it's not. It's just he
It's not.
seems to not be too phased by mistakes and what's going on around him. He has the same calm attitude, and I think that plays into your hands a little
Yeah.
bit at a place like Augusta National.
Yeah. This
His
is
game,
and this is like his third time, I think, playing now. 24.
yeah,
He tied for second, so he was in the mix there. And when we look at what he did in tying fifth of the Players, where he had a significant lead and it looked like he was going to walk away from it, or walk away with it, I think that actually helps him this week because I think, it's only a couple weeks ago, so it's still fresh in his brain as far as what mistakes he made coming
hmm
down the stretch. And I think that means he's going to be reminded of not making this missteps, where sometimes maybe you come in and you're overconfident and you basically are not thinking about, how do I deal with stuff when it goes badly? Well, he had to deal with that stuff, whether it was during it or after it. And I think that will kind of be stuck in stuck in his throat a little bit, going, oh, I need to make up for that. So yeah, if you're gonna, I mean, he's clearly a guy I'm gonna watch this week for sure. So yeah.
um, So there's a couple of amateurs from the U.S. Mason
Yeah.
Howell and Jackson Harrington.
Yeah.
Howell obviously is the 2025 U.S. Amateur Champion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hype around this kid.
Sure.
Now, is he going to contend at the Masters? No. I
No,
mean,
I
he
don't think so.
could, but I
Yeah.
mean,
Sure.
you get like a Ricky Barnes situation where you're right in it for a little while, but then eventually you're not.
Yeah.
That's likely the scenario.
Yeah.
Jackson Harrington,
Same thing,
another,
U.S. amateur runner-up, and
yeah.
you're right. You're right. There'll be discussion about them, but the discussion I think in the end will be about being low amateur and
Yeah, who's getting the
sleeping.
medallion?
Yeah, exactly. Who's slept in the crow's nest or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's just a hard place to play for the first time, and it's intense, right? I mean,
hmm
you're playing in the Masters, and it's everything that you want as an amateur growing up. So there's a lot to it. I'm sure it's an overwhelming week. I'm sure both have family that's there. It's pretty hard to probably concentrate just on the golf itself. And man, it's such a puzzle, this golf course. So
Yeah.
trying to figure it out first time can be
That could
really
be
hard.
really difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully both of them have leaned on some of the pros or people that they know for some advice and some insight. But even then, once you get out there and get punched in the face the first time,
Yeah.
it's hard to have a plan.
It certainly is. Now, Canadians, there's not that many.
No, just three.
One, not a chance, and the
Yeah,
other two, have any chance, as good a chance as anybody.
yeah,
I still would probably give the edge in my mind to Corey Connors.
definitely. Given his past play here for
Yeah.
sure.
Nick Taylor, I mean, obviously he's a PGA Tour winner. It's not like he doesn't know how to win, but
No, but
I just think Corey Connors, his ball striking is
Yeah.
we talk about his ball striking all the time. His ball
Yeah.
striking is incredible.
And he's
you
proven
need
it at Augusta. Yeah,
You need that ball striking at Augusta. So
Yeah.
I would give the edge to him. Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping we might see a fourth in there. It was
yeah,
very close. Amazing start to the year for
Yellow Mariju.
for the Yellow Mariju.
Yeah.
Like I thought, maybe he
I
might last
mean,
week squeeze
we s-
in, but
yeah, we still have one shot left. The Valero Texas Open is this week, so
Mhm.
The winner will get a spot. So there is
Right. But he
some,
has to win. It's not.
you have to
Yeah,
win. That's
that
the
might
only
be a
way.
tall order to ask
That
of somebody to get their first PGA Tour win this quickly.
yeah. Now
But
Connors has did that in the past to get into the Masters, so it is possible. But to kind of support your point there, yeah, Connors has got four top tens here. It's going to come down to the flat stick for him. I mean,
mhm.
that's his kryptonite. His ball striking. I mean, you ask any player on tour, who do you want to hit a golf ball like? A lot of them will pick out Corey Connors, just because he is such a flusher, and
Does he got that
that.
George Knudson look about him with those shades?
I don't know
And he's
about
taller than
that.
George Newsom. He's got the George Newsom used to have those
Yeah,
shades. Like he's
yeah,
got
yeah,
this.
yeah.
He's always wearing the shades, right? Like it's just he's
Yeah.
a sort of
And
great ball
I
striker too. He doesn't have the
yeah.
Mo Norman look about him though.
No, they have a different, I mean, obviously a different swing, but the results are pretty similar.
Yeah.
But again, it's just going to come down to the flat stick. And, he tied for eighth last year, was in the mix again. But yeah, I think that's an easy one to look at that. No disrespect to Nick Taylor, but I don't know if he hits it far enough off the tee. Hey, I'd love to eat these words and next week go, man, Nick Taylor won his sixth PGA Tour event, his first major. That would be great to say for sure. And
Hmm.
again, no disrespect to Mike Weir, obviously, a past champion. The fact that he can continue to come back here is fantastic, but we are so far removed from his victory there. He's coming in off a top 20 on the Champions Tour, but I'm not sure that has a lot of relevance when you're talking about Augusta National here.
No,
So
but then nobody expected him to win the Masters when he did win it. So I
no,
mean, it's
yeah,
anything's possible, but highly unlikely.
yeah, if he makes the cut, that would be great. So
Yeah.
the other one that when we look about tournament favorites and so forth, I mean, it's unfortunate. Morikawa was in the mix there, but he had to pull out of the Valero this week still with that back issue that cropped up at the Players. And I think we mentioned most of the guys when we go through. But Schauffele is kind of heating up. We don't know what a Cam Young can do. Tommy Fleetwood.
I still like Fleetwood.
That would be interesting to see. I obviously, if you're going to talk about popular wins, certainly Tommy Fleetwood. I mean, I think everybody's going to be looking for his son to tear apart the par three course again. But I think if I think that would be certainly a popular win. Anybody else kind of stand out, or anybody from the field or anything?
Um,
I mean,
But
there's
it's
lots. We got the entire field
interesting
there.
because Jason Day. I mean, if you're talking about names of players, Jason
Interesting.
Day has been playing some pretty good golf lately.
That's
I feel
interesting.
like there's
Yeah.
been a little bit of a resurgence in his career, and it's only a matter of
Yeah.
time before he
Yeah.
wins again.
Yeah.
Is the Masters where he wins? I don't know about that. I just,
Mm.
just the way he's been playing, I kind of feel like maybe.
Yeah.
And the other one that's very interesting to me is Akshay Bhatia.
Yes. Yeah. That's
Something about his game that just he's a worker of the ball.
yep.
He likes to shape it. He's got a lot of
Putting
creativity. I
fantastic.
don't like the pants. I feel like we got to go with a regular pair of golf pants there, buddy, not the track pants. But and maybe switch to a regular like a normal putter.
No.
Like let's go with that and see
No.
what happens. But
No.
that's it. He's a great ball striker. He's
Yeah.
a shaper. He likes to move the ball. I just like his game, and I
Yeah.
kind of think that it is a kind of game that's suited for Augusta National.
Well, if you played that well at Bay Hill, and you make the putts that he did, and you're playing on those difficult surfaces, that obviously proved a lot. Doesn't have the elevation that Augusta National does, but
No.
certainly a player to watch for sure. Matt Fitzpatrick is going to be a hot hand coming in
Yeah.
here after winning at Valspar. Has the distance, putting well. Just announced that he and his wife are having a baby. Maybe he's just on the up and ups. It's certainly one to look at here. It's hard to look too far down the list. I think we're
Yeah.
limited in some ways as far as the players that can do well. Maybe you'll see a guy like a Sam Burns, kind of who hasn't been playing that great, but is a fantastic putter. Berger obviously played well at Bay Hill, but how do you see his game mix up? I don't know. It's hard to, again, it's hard to go too far down the list, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if it does become somebody, one of the Højgaards, Nikolai and Rasmus,
Yeah,
the
both
brothers.
playing really well too right now. So
Exactly, and these guys just absolutely bomb it. They're young guys. There could be a surprise that's kind of in there. Casey Jarvis, who's coming over from the DP World Tour, probably one of the hottest players in the world right now. But how do you deal with, playing at Augusta National for kind of a first time? How will Brooks look when he comes back? I mean, there's a lot of narratives here
that's
to
an
kind of
interesting
look
one
at.
for me
Yeah,
because he seems to be finding his way a little bit more. It's still not quite there.
no, that putter is still a little suspect. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and it's hard to say. I mean, Dustin Johnson and Phil Mickelson
Oh, I'm not
can
even.
come
That's
show up and leave as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I
Victor
don't think.
Hovland's another interesting one.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot. I mean, you have these shows where you do these things. Oh, we're going to do these predictions.
Oh yeah, you can't really
prognostications
predict.
and stuff like that. But you look
It's
at the
pretty much
list
a
of
guess.
yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Unless somebody who is well known, who's been there before, who's won
Yeah.
before, is the
Yeah.
one to come out and make a statement,
Yeah.
then I throw a caution to the wind. It could be anybody. Minwoo Lee is
So
playing really well right now too, and he hits the ball
yeah,
a mile. So
I'll give you three names that would be very well received as far as storylines are concerned, as
mhm.
far as popular with the fans, besides kind of a Fleetwood. I would say Gary Woodland, if he continues,
Oh
obviously,
yes.
his story after winning at Houston, that would just build on, what has happened so far. A Jordan Spieth comeback
Hmm.
would be cool to see. That would sort of cap things. And, Adam Scott, who again has been playing well of late, again, that would, and I'm not saying, it's the best thing to happen, but I'm just saying he's shown some spark of late. And as far as, how it would be received by fans, it would be fabulous. I know obviously he's won before, but I think those three storylines would be very well received. More than
I
anything.
don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah.
I think even someone like Koepka playing well and being in contention
Yeah,
would be well received.
I agree.
I
Yeah.
like there's a lot of names on the list that I'd be happy. I only have maybe half a dozen that I would like to see miss the cut, and the rest of them I'd be happy to see any of them win. So,
All right.
and I won't even get into the ones I want to see miss the cut. But anybody that's been paying any attention to this podcast for the last year would probably be able to guess pretty quickly which ones I want to see go home early. And Bryson
enough.
DeChambeau is not one of them. If anybody's thinking, I do have a soft spot for that guy. I do kind of like, what he's become.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with Bryson winning a green jacket, even if he is a live guy, because it's only a matter of time he's going to come back.
Yeah, I agree.
They're all the big ones are going to come back as soon as their contracts are over and they can get out, and they just don't want to pay the money right now. Because actually, if they come back early, they got to pay all that money. If they come back, if they put in their like Patrick Reed, they put in their notice and come back within their year or whatever, they don't have to pay as much money.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just cheap. I don't know. With all that millions that they won, who knows?
Who knows?
All right.
All right.
Well, that was a good preview
Yeah.
show.
Yeah,
Because we're going to be talking about this next week, so we'll just find another angle to discuss the Masters.
100%.
It's the Masters. We'll figure
Too much
it out.
fun.
But good show. Thank you for that, Scott McLeod. And thanks to all our sponsors, Metcalf Golf Club, Falcon Ridge Golf Club, and our presenting sponsor, Golf PEI. Golf Prince Edward Island is a premier Canadian golf destination boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in this great country, exquisite culinary experiences, and top-tier accommodations. The easiest golf vacation you will ever book, so book it. golfpei.ca. We do hope, of course, that you've been enjoying hearing and watching us this week. Be sure to follow us across all social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe to subscribe on Spotify, Audible, and Amazon Music and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Like us, click the notification bell. Make sure you never miss a single episode. Get over to flagstick.com for more amazing golf content delivered every single day. And remember to subscribe to the Flagstick Digest newsletter. It's free. It's delivered to your inbox 3 times a week with awesome content. As always, we do appreciate you tuning in to us. But until next week, I'm Jeff Botter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Always remember, go for the stick.